Good morning. Here we are, Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. Our daily lectionary readings. Once again, our psalm reading is going to be 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. Our Old Testament reading, we're continuing in Genesis, but we're bumping up to Genesis 21, 1 through 21. And then our New Testament reading, we're staying in Galatians chapter 4. We're continuing the story, so we'll be in verse 21 through chapter 5, verse 1. And remember, with this being Tuesday, it's reflecting on what we had at church on Sunday for Advent 4. Let us listen in to our scripture readings. Psalm reading, 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. Hannah prayed, "I'm bursting with God news. I'm walking on air. I'm laughing at my rivals. I'm dancing my salvation. Nothing and no one is holy like God. No rock mountain like our God. Don't dare talk pretentiously. Not a word of boasting ever. For God knows what's going on. He takes the measures of everything that happens. The weapons of the strong are smashed to pieces, while the weak are infused with fresh strength. The well-fed are begging in the streets for crust, while the hungry are getting second helpings. The barren woman has a household of children, while the mother of many is bereaved. God brings death, and God brings life, brings down to the grave and raises up. God brings poverty, and God brings wealth. He lowers, he also lifts up. He puts poor people on their feet again. He rekindles burned out lives with fresh hope, restoring dignity and respect to their lives, a place in the sun. For the very structure of earth are God's. He has laid out his operations on a firm foundation. He protectively cares for his faithful friends step by step, but leaves the wicked to stumble in the dark. No one makes it in this life by sheer muscle. God's enemies will be blasted out of the sky, crashed in a heap and burned. God will set things right all over the earth. He'll give strength to his king. He'll set his anointed on top of the world. Our Old Testament reading comes from the book of Genesis, chapter 21, verses 1 through 21. God visited Sarah exactly as he said he would. God did to Sarah what he promised. Sarah became pregnant and gave Abraham a son in his old age, and at the very time God had said. Abraham named him Isaac. When his son was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him just as God had commanded. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born. Sarah said, "God had blessed me with laughter, and all who get the news will laugh with me." She also said, "Whoever would have suggested to Abraham that Sarah would have one day nurse a baby? Yet here I am. I've given the old man a son." The baby grew and was weaned. Abraham threw a big party on the day that Isaac was weaned. One day Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, had born to Abraham, poking fun at her son Isaac. She told Abraham, "Get rid of this slave woman and her son. No child of this slave is going to share inheritance with my son Isaac." The matter gave great pain to Abraham. After all, Ishmael was his son. But God spoke to Abraham, "Don't feel badly about the boy and your maid. Do whatever Sarah tells you. Your descendants will come through Isaac. Regarding your maid's son, be assured that I'll also develop a great nation from him. He's your son too." Abraham got up early the next morning, got some food together and a canteen of water for Hagar, put them on her back, and sent her away with the child. She wandered off into the desert of Beersheba. When the water was gone, she left the child under a shrub and went off, 50 yards or so. She said, "I can't watch my son die." And she sat. She broke into sobs. Meanwhile, God heard the boy cry. The angel of God called from heaven to Hagar. "What's wrong, Hagar? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy and knows how the fix he's in. Up now, get the boy. Hold him tight. I'm going to make him a great nation." Just then, God opened her eyes. She looked. She saw a well of water. She went to it and filled the canteen and gave the boy a long, cool drink. God was on the boy's side as he grew up. He lived out in the desert and became a skilled archer. He lived in Paran wilderness, and his mother got him a wife from Egypt. Our New Testament reading comes from the book of Galatians, chapter 4, beginning in verse 21, and it carries on through chapter 5, verse 1. "Tell me now, you who have become so enamored with the law, have you paid close attention to that law? Abraham, remember, had 2 sons, one by the slave woman and one by the free woman. The son of the slave woman was born by human plotting. The son of the free woman was born by God's promise." This illustrates the very thing we are dealing with now. The 2 births represent 2 ways of being in relationship with God. One is from Mount Sinai in Arabia. It corresponds with what's going on now in Jerusalem, a slave life, producing slaves as offspring. This is the way of Hagar. In contrast to that, there is invisible Jerusalem, a free Jerusalem, and she is our mother. That is the way of Sarah. Remember what Isaiah wrote? "Rejoice, barren woman who bears no children. Shout out and cry out, women of who has no birth pangs, because the children of the barren woman now surpass the children of the chosen woman." Isn't it clear, friends, that you, like Isaac, are children of the promise? In the days of Hagar and Sarah, the child who came from the faithless plotting, Ishmael, harassed the child who came empowered by the Spirit from the beautiful promise, Isaac. Isn't it clear that the harassment you are now experiencing from the Jerusalem heretics followed the old pattern? There is a scripture that tells us what to do. "Expel the slave mother with her son, for the slave son will not inherit with the free son." Isn't that conclusive? We are not children of the slave woman, but of the free woman. Christ has set us free to live a free life, so take your stand. Never again let anyone put a harness of slavery on you. And here ends our readings for the day.